I'm also happy to be joined by my good friend, Minister Hajdu, who is a huge advocate for Thunder Bay while she has massive other responsibilities, which she's doing an awesome job on, and is the MP for Thunder Bay Superior North. I have many other colleagues who are joining, but I'm going to give a special shout out to another Thunder Bay boy, Jamie Mulroney, who's chair of our Toronto caucus, but he's got his heart in Thunder Bay too and has worked really, really hard on this announcement too. Great to see, to have Minister Mulroney here. We've worked very hard together on a bunch of transit projects across Ontario, and I think we'll see that it has an impact across Canada. Because that is what the supply chain is, and great announcements, including another one that's going to happen tomorrow. We have Minister Rickford here, Minister of Energy, Mines, Northern Development and Indigenous Affairs, that's a big title, as well as the MP for Kenora Rainy River. So thanks for joining us, Greg. We have Mayor Mora, the Mayor of Thunder Bay. We have had many, many meetings on this, so congratulations to you and all your hard work to represent the residents and workers and working families of Thunder Bay. We also have John Tory, Mayor of Toronto. And I know this is a very important announcement for jobs in Thunder Bay, but also for folks in Toronto who take streetcars. I know that this is a really amazing announcement for Torontonians. We have also Jerry Diaz, National President of Unifor, who's been a huge advocate for workers in Thunder Bay, but workers across the country. So really appreciate all your work. We have Jay Robinson, City Councillor and Chair of the Toronto Transit Commission. So I know you're looking very happy today, Jay, so that's great to see, as well as Phil Verster, President and CEO of Metrolinx, another great announcement for Metrolinx. And a special thank you to Souheil Abihanna, the President of Alston, Canada. You have worked with us on this. I know that this was a lot of discussions, but I think we're in a really good place. And we have huge opportunities with the investments we're making in public transit in Canada for Canadian workers and Canadian jobs and Canadian supply chain. First of all, I want to start by recognizing I'm on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples. And look, COVID-19 has been really tough. It's been a really, really challenging year. It's shaped so many aspects of our lives, like we can't be in Thunder Bay to make a really great announcement in Thunder Bay. And it's really, had a real impact on people in our communities. And of course, our number one role as a federal government, led ably by Minister Hajdu, has been on the health and safety of Canadians and getting through this pandemic. But the good news is we will get through this pandemic. We still have to follow public health advice. We need to get vaccinated as soon as possible, but we'll get through it. And my focus throughout this has been, how do we kickstart our economy? How do we create jobs, good union jobs, good jobs for Canadian workers? How do we create opportunities for Canadian businesses? And also, how do we tackle the biggest challenge that we'll face coming out of this, which is climate change? That's not going away. And we need to be taking action with solutions that we have now, which includes electrifying our transit system. And of course, we need to build inclusive communities where people want to live, work, and raise our families. And that's exactly what we're doing today. I've been focused on shovel in the ground projects. I know mayors love hearing that. So do ministers. We have many shovels, and the good news, a lot of them are going into the ground. Since the start of COVID-19, my department and I have approved 3,100 projects, over $4 billion in investments. That is jobs, that is workers, that is better communities. That's also tackling climate change. And we need jobs now. We need jobs now, and that has certainly been our focus. We also announced the COVID-19 stream. We revamped our program, recognizing that we were in COVID, and 80 cents of every dollar is going to support projects including ventilation in schools, critically important, also in long-term care homes. But I am here to talk about a great announcement that will benefit Thunder Bay, that will benefit Toronto, and will have impacts on the supply chain, as we've said, in Ontario, but also Quebec and across the country. I've always said every taxpayer dollar invested has to achieve multiple outcomes. It has to create jobs and grow our economy. It has to tackle climate change and build more resilient communities. And it also has to improve the quality of life for everyone. And that's exactly what public transit does. It's about getting cars off the road. It's about getting people around faster. It's about connecting historically disadvantaged neighborhoods. It's also about making it easier for their residents. And often we're talking about the people who take public transit are women, immigrant families, children, to get to school and work. And of course, it creates good middle-class jobs across the country, from transit drivers to workers on the assembly line, to all small businesses that support them. Thousands, tens of thousands of jobs are created when we invest in public transit. And by electrifying our transit system, linking it to cycling and walking paths, we're investing in a critical solution to climate change as we drive Canada to net zero emissions by 2050. In February, I announced with the Prime Minister $15 billion in new funding to accelerate shovel-ready job-creating projects across the country, to electrify our transit systems, and to develop permanent public transit funding of $3 billion annually. And this is part of that investment. Today, I'm so excited to announce, as part of an extensive deal with, I think Minister Mulroney would agree, sometimes challenging negotiations. And let me be clear, as a condition of the GTA deal, I also said we needed to make sure that we were investing in the plant in Thunder Bay and keeping it open. We're moving ahead with a $568 million federal investment to support the purchase of additional streetcars in Toronto that will sustain transit vehicle manufacturing capacity at Alston's automotive manufacturing facility in Thunder Bay, but also opportunities in Quebec and across the country. We have been unwavering as a federal government in our support in the fight to keep the Alston facility open and protect good union jobs. That's Marcus Pulowski, that's Minister Hajdu, that's Jamie Mulroney, and of course, the Prime Minister. We need jobs, we need to support Canadian workers, and they are part of our recovery, but they're also part of our plan to tackle climate change and build a more inclusive community. As part of this deal, we will be providing up to $180 million in funding to enable the TTC purchase of a total of 60 zero-emission streetcars and to expand the Hillcrest storage facility in Toronto. The TTC will talk more about this announcement, but they will procure the streetcars from an existing competitively procured contract with Alston. Supporting the TTC's purchase of 60 new electric streetcars for Toronto, built in Thunder Bay, is a win-win-win for not only Thunder Bay, not only Toronto, but for all Canadians. Aujourd'hui, je suis heureuse d'annoncer qu'après de nombreux mois, en travaillant avec le ministre Mulroney, dans le cadre de notre accord historique avec le gouvernement de l'Ontario, et une condition que j'ai mise visant à investir dans le transport en commun, nous allons de l'avant avec une entente de 568 millions de dollars pour l'achat de tramways supplémentaires à Toronto et le maintien de la capacité de fabrication de véhicules de transport en commun à l'usine de fabrication d'automobiles d'Alston à Thunder Bay. Dans le cadre de cet accord, le gouvernement du Canada fournit jusqu'à 180 millions de dollars de financement pour permettre à la TTC d'acheter un total de 60 tramways à zéro émission et d'agrandir son centre d'entreposage Hillcrest à Toronto. Le TTC achètera ces tramways dans le cadre d'un contrat d'approvisionnement concurrentiel déjà conclu avec Alstom et soutenir l'achat par le TTC de 60 nouveaux tramways électriques pour Toronto construits à Thunder Bay. C'est avantageux pour les travailleurs de Thunder Bay, pour tous les résidents de Toronto, mais pour tous les Canadiens. This project will not only protect hundreds of good middle-class jobs by helping to sustain the Thunder Bay plant in the short term and creating a bridge to longer-term transit procurement projects, it will also help Toronto residents who rely on public transit to get around quickly, safely, and reliability. And it's great, and I hope we hear this from the TTC and Metrolinx, that streetcar ridership had grown by 20% pre-pandemic between 2008 and 2018. And we're just going to continue growing that because we are investing in good public transit, which becomes an irresistible option for folks to take. We know that Canadian workers are part of the solution to restarting our economy, tackling climate change, and building more inclusive communities, but also that Canada is a world leader in transit manufacturing. From zero-emission buses to light rail vehicles and subways, workers are employed in the sector right across the country. We're going to continue working with provinces and municipalities to expand and electrify our transit system that's going to create opportunities for Canadian manufacturing workers and for their families and for our supply chain. We've invested, since 2015, Infrastructure Canada has invested over $13 billion in more than 1,300 transit projects across Canada. They've helped build more than 240 kilometers of new public transit, subway, and rail lines, purchased over 300 zero-emission buses, and created more than 500 kilometers of active transportation trails, bike and pedestrian lanes, and recreational paths. Together with Canadians, we're building the future. We're building what we need for the future we want, including a future that will drive us to net zero emissions by 2050 and where we've ensured a more sustainable and better future for our kids and grandkids. Building big things in Canada has always been about nation building. We built big because we thought big. What I hope at the end of this terrible pandemic, this absolutely terrible year that has been so hard for Canadians, that we will think big and that we will look back in decades from now and say, this is when we seized the opportunity to rebuild our country, to create good jobs for workers, to create huge opportunities for Canadian supply chains, and we tackled climate change. And this is part of it. Thank you very much. With that, I said I'd be short and I absolutely epically failed, but I am now going to hand it over to someone who you all know because she is working so hard on behalf of Canadians, of course, also on behalf of the residents she represents from Thunder Bay, Rainy River, my colleague, Thunder Bay, Superior North, my colleague, Minister Patty Hajdu.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine, Minister McKenna. I always struggle with calling each other by our formal titles because we're all working really hard right now. This is not an easy time for anybody, and it's not an easy time for folks that are on the front line of leadership as well. So I just want to thank all of you because I know you're having excruciating phone calls with your constituents. You're also balancing very heavy portfolios and trying to make the best decisions in what I would call is a truly unprecedented crisis of health and economic proportions. And so deep gratitude to everybody who's doing this work because it's not easy. And I know if you're anything like me, you're spending more hours than you thought humanly possible in front of a computer screen while also trying to balance some semblance of commitment to your other personal, your personal lives, which maybe some of us have a personal life left. I don't know. I don't have very many hours to foster that, but I do try. I'm speaking to you from the traditional territory of the Robinson Superior Treaty area now, particularly of the Fort William First Nation area. And of course, it's been contributed to by many generations of Métis people. It's an honor to live and work and play here. And I am very excited about this announcement. It is a long time in coming. It's something that I remember speaking about with, I don't see him here today, but Dominic Pasqualino many, many years before, as he flagged for me the ongoing challenges around stable work for the plant and just the importance of the plant to our local and regional economy. And I think even though he's not here, I do want to thank Dominic because as a strong union leader for Unifor at the local level, he certainly has been passionate despite the many challenges he's personally faced to keep workers in the front and foremost of everything that he does and everything that Unifor does here locally. So Jerry, you've had a passionate advocate at the ground level. I also just want to say that this is a really great announcement because it does connect Northern Ontario and Southern Ontario. And I'll start with a little bit of a personal story. My son, who's now a heavy equipment crane operator apprentice, started off in welding. And his first job after he graduated from the welding fundamentals at Confederation College was actually on the plant floor at Bombardier. And, he was an assembler finisher and he was very proud of the work he did. He came home with many, many stories, including learning what it meant to be a unionized employee, but also how it felt to work on the shop floor building things. And one day later on, he was no longer with Bombardier, due actually to the instability of work. He left the plant. He was laid off and actually ended up pursuing a different trade. But we were in Toronto one day, about a year and a half or two later, and we saw one of the new streetcars. And I can tell you that he was so excited and so proud to be someone who had worked on one of those new streetcars. And that is the power of this kind of work. It's not just a job. It's actually this ability to grow, to learn your talent, to foster the next generation of talent, and to have that pride of workmanship that you really do see through the eyes. In my case, I was so fortunate to see through this young welder, now crane operator apprentice. The plant is, it's not just about jobs. It is about jobs, obviously, good, strong, middle-class jobs that unions, by the way, have protected. In fact, I used to say when I was the Minister of Labor, we wouldn't have a middle class if it wasn't for labor. Labor were the ones that actually insisted on good workplaces, on decent day lengths, on weekends. They're the one, weekends are courtesy of the unions. And by the way, benefits and sick pay are also because of unions. And so I just want to acknowledge that this is a good unionized shop that actually has been the mainstay for so many generations of workers in our region, and has allowed people like my son to develop as tradespeople and contribute their talent in ways not just here in Northern Ontario, but across the province, and indeed, I would argue probably across the country in some cases. Northern Ontario takes great pride in making life smoother for our Southern Ontario neighbors. We know that this is a really important project, not just for our economy, but for the economy of Ontario. And we know that we have a role to play in making a strong economic recovery in this pandemic for our Southern Ontario neighbors. I also think it really speaks to the federal, provincial, municipal governments working together and what happens when we all work together. I think sometimes forget in the normal jousting of partisan politics that we all have the same goal. And the goal is a strong, healthy, and vibrant Canadian population. And in this case, Northern Ontario population. So I'm really grateful to everyone who has been willing to work through those undoubtedly challenging negotiations, but stuck with it and stayed at the table with that goal in mind, that we were going to get to a deal that was going to be beneficial to everyone that we serve, that we are actually elected to serve, that we're here to support. I want to say a particular thank you for Minister McKenna, who was kept Thunder Bay in mind throughout the entire process. And, although I don't know if you've ever been here, I know we have big plans for getting you here, but, the fact that she worked with me, with Marcus, and continually advocated for Thunder Bay, for this plant in particular, really demonstrates to me that she got it, that this wasn't just another region in Canada for her. She really understood the value of our Northern Ontario economy and how we can contribute to that larger economy of Ontario and therefore the prosperous Canada that we're all seeking. Northern Ontario has often struggled, but we matter. And today, this announcement really shows that we matter, that we have a role, not just in terms of the right to good, strong middle-class jobs and all that means, but also to the right to participating in an Ontario economy at large and to being part of a solution for a strong recovery, as Minister McKenna talked about. So listen, this is exciting. I'm very excited, as you can see. I'm excited for the workers at the plant. I'm excited for the next generation of talent. I'm excited for Southern Ontario, who's going to get what they need to continue to move people around in an efficient way and help people connect with their loved ones, have more time off, be able to get back and forth to work more quickly, be able to get to the places they need to get to so that they can live really good quality lives. So thank you, everybody. It's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you, Minister Haidu. And what a great story about your son. I think because, you know, you can say the good union jobs or good union middle class jobs, but it's really about real people and their lives. And I think you better than, well, certainly I could. But thank you for that. I think you also made another really important point, which gets to our next speaker, Minister Mulroney. Look, politics, there's a lot of politics in politics, and there's a lot of high drama. But in the end, we're elected to represent people and get things done and improve lives. And there couldn't be a more important time to do that. And there couldn't be a more important time to be ambitious, to restart our economy, create good jobs, and get good public transit for folks. So a real shout out to Minister Mulroney. We worked very hard. It wasn't always easy. I know we would say that, but this is a good deal for so many people. We've heard about how it's a good deal for Northern Ontario. We've heard already about how it's a good deal for Southern Ontario, but it's just a good deal for Canada. And it's about being ambitious and thinking big and actually getting, I want to say, the things done, but you know the other word I might have put in there. But anyway, so thanks, Minister Mulroney. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Minister McKenna. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. I'm so pleased to be here during what is such an exciting week for transit in Ontario. Today's announcement for the joint funding of new streetcars for the Toronto Transit Commission is truly a win for the people of Ontario. In coming together to invest more than $500 million for 60 new zero-emission streetcars for the TTC, all three levels of government are demonstrating the importance of investing in transit. These new streetcars will help to ensure that the TTC can address much-needed fleet requirements and match capacity with customer demand. We're providing more and better transit options for residents, and we're getting people where they need to go when they need to get there. En s'unissant pour investir plus de 500 millions de dollars dans 60 nouveaux tramways à émissions zéro pour la Commission de transport de Toronto, les trois niveaux de gouvernement démontrent l'importance d'investir dans le transport en commun. Ces nouveaux tramways permettront à la CTT de répondre aux besoins de son parc de véhicules et d'adapter sa capacité à la demande de ses clients. Nous offrons aux résidents davantage d'options de transport en commun de meilleure qualité. Nous amenons les gens à leur destination au moment où ils doivent s'y rendre. This is an important day not only for the City of Toronto, but also for the City of Thunder Bay. The new streetcars will be produced in the Thunder Bay Transit Plant with delivery starting in 2023. By providing this much-needed funding to supply new streetcars, we're enhancing our local and regional transit networks while also supporting good manufacturing jobs in Ontario. In addition to supporting Toronto's streetcar order, the province will also seek a further order from Alston. At our government's direction, Metrolinx will initiate negotiations with Alston for the refurbishment of bi-level coaches. Our existing fleet of bi-level coaches were built in Thunder Bay, and therefore this plant is best positioned to make these enhancements. And before I move on, I'd like to acknowledge the important collaborative discussions our government has had with the leadership team at Alston. Your commitment and dedication to supporting Ontario Transit is something that we appreciate greatly. In September of 2019, based on a growing need at Metrolinx, Premier Ford and I moved decisively to accelerate an order for 36 bi-level coaches from the Thunder Bay plant. I'm pleased to update everyone that those made in Ontario vehicles are on track to be fully delivered by early summer. Our government continues to make deals that make sense for taxpayers, especially when it delivers good private sector jobs. En septembre 2019, en raison d'un besoin croissant à Metrolinx, le Premier ministre Ford et moi-même avons pris des mesures décisives pour accélérer la commande de 36 autocars à 2 niveaux à Bombardier. Je suis heureuse de vous informer que ces véhicules fabriqués en Ontario sont en voie d'être entièrement livrés au début de l'été. Notre gouvernement continue de conclure des ententes qui sont avantageuses pour les contribuables, surtout lorsqu'elles créent de bons emplois dans le secteur privé. Refurbishing Go Transit bi-level vehicles will keep more trains performing at peak service levels for GO customers. These safe, reliable, and comfortable coaches provide commuters with better, more enjoyable journeys across the GO network. Lastly, as I mentioned yesterday during our significant subway announcement, as we vaccinate more and more people and start to think about the beginning of the end of the pandemic, the infrastructure investments we make now are of critical importance. Our actions today determine tomorrow's growth and prosperity. And when the day comes that we can return to more normal travel routines, our public transit and transportation networks need to be ready to accommodate the incredible potential that exists here in every corner of Ontario. Nos actions d'aujourd'hui déterminent la croissance et la prospérité de demain. Et lorsque le jour viendra où nous pourrons reprendre des habitudes de voyage plus normales, nos réseaux de transport et de transport en commun doivent être prêts à accueillir l'incroyable potentiel qui existe ici, dans tous les coins de l'Ontario. In closing, I'm proud of the work of our government and our partners, what we've done today to help make the right choices for a better future tomorrow. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Mulroney. And now over to Greg Rickford, Minister for Energy, Mines, Northern Development, Indigenous Affairs, and MP for Kenora Rainy River.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Minister McKenna, for hosting this event with our colleagues provincially and municipally. Great to see you, Mayor Tory, a friend and mentor. Thanks for your profile in today's decision and announcement. It was just a couple of years ago in one of my regular visits to the beautiful city of Thunder Bay, the capital of Northwestern Ontario, as I like to call it, that the Premier and I stood on the shop floor at what was then Bombardier. It was in the wake of a consequential decision to see more than $1 billion worth of train cars for VIA built somewhere else. We saw an opportunity, and the Premier and I stood shoulder to shoulder with the members of Unifor, the workers of that facility, and made a pledge that we would do everything we can to make today's opportunity come to fruition. So it isn't just a great story about a manufacturing facility in Thunder Bay, and as Minister Hajdu alluded to, the impact that it has on the community. It's about the economic vitality of Northwestern Ontario. Once again, today, our government has demonstrated its commitment to building a modern transit system in the city of Toronto, as well as its commitment to deliver secure and good-paying jobs in Northwestern Ontario. These were central planks of our mandate as a government, and I'm pleased to announce, I'm pleased to deliver with my colleagues here today, another significant milestone in that process. This investment is working twice as hard for the people of Ontario. We'll deliver state-of-the-art transportation infrastructure to the City of Toronto and support the good, hard-working men and women and their families at Thunder Bay's Alston facility. I want to thank the folks at Alston facility for the numerous meetings that we had in the run-up to today's announcement as well. Just as this government promised to get Ontario moving again, quite literally, we also promised a new vision for Ontario's economy. And we're doing our part to make sure that Ontario is a great place to do business, and that Northwestern Ontario is a great place to do business, a great place to invest, and a great place to protect and create new jobs. The Government of Ontario, today the Government of Canada, and the City of Toronto will invest $500 million towards purchasing 60 new zero-emission streetcars for the TTC. This also includes, as Minister Mulroney alluded to, an order to refurbish up to 212 bi-level GO train cars. Together, this will secure upwards of 350 good jobs in the Thunder Bay Alston facility over the next couple of years. I have a feeling there's more to come, because we know that this facility has the capacity to do even more, and our government remains laser focused on bringing and supporting these critical jobs as we stood there on that day and promised. I've had the pleasure to tour the new Alston manufacturing facility with the Premier and on my own in Thunder Bay a couple of times. But it was an extraordinary opportunity to see the incredible potential that we have there. The work that the facility has done in the context of the pandemic, we're greatly appreciative to the management and to the people working on the floor to pivot and create additional capacity in our fight against COVID-19. And I have to say this, thank you. The work this plant has done is nothing short of extraordinary, and it's an inspiring sight to stand on that production floor with those workers. It's a part of the fabric of Thunder Bay. It means a lot to Northwestern Ontario, and it stands as a reminder of the values of the men and women and their families who live there in Thunder Bay and its impact across Northwestern Ontario. It is defined by hard work, by honesty and loyalty, and we appreciate that. There's no overestimating the importance of these jobs to the hundreds of hardworking men and women at that facility and for the community of Thunder Bay and beyond. Over the years, I've been fortunate to get to know Dominic Pasqualino, president of Unifor Local 1075. In fact, many of the presidents of chapters of Unifor. I appreciate their support out here in Northwestern Ontario, but it's Dominic's bold leadership, his advocacy, his persistence, and his passion for his membership are genuinely extraordinary. I know that in speaking to him last night, he was over the moon, as he said, followed by a call from the Premier. We brought this promise and this commitment full circle. Dominic, you and your team deserve much credit, as the politicians won't miss an opportunity to talk about this. It's you and your workers that will get these streetcars moving out of Thunder Bay and down to Toronto. It's an ambitious project, and it wouldn't have been possible without the collaboration of all levels of government and the good people of Alston. We know that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought challenging times to our province, and there's no exception up here in Northwestern Ontario and in Thunder Bay. I thank Minister Hajdu for the work that she's doing federally and our commitment as a province to work together. We're making significant progress in this fight. With more shots in arms, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think today's announcement makes that light a little bit brighter here in Thunder Bay and across Northwestern Ontario. But between now and then and into the future, our government will remain committed to building a better and brighter Ontario for everybody. So I want to take this opportunity in closing to thank everyone here today for this opportunity and the good people of Thunder Bay, who I work very closely with. Mayor Tory, I hope that you'll reach out to other big city mayors across Canada. I know as we speak, Edmonton is actively considering their transit plans. Please tell them that the good folks of Northwestern Ontario are ready to build. We're open for business here in Ontario, and we thank you for this opportunity. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Minister Rickford. So now we're going to get to like the business now, because we're going to hear from Bill Mora, Mayor of Thunder Bay, about what this means for Thunder Bay, for Northern Ontario, and most of all for the workers that we're all here fighting for.
Minister, thank you. And thanks to all the other speakers and everyone who's joined us on the call today. I just a bunch of thank yous from me. And I start with you, Minister McKenna. Like others have mentioned previously, this has been a file that's required advocacy over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. There's been a lot of work that's gone into it by a lot of different stakeholders. And I will tell you honestly that it was the call that you and I had, I think 3 to 6 months ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, where for the first time, I don't mind saying, I left that call with some confidence that we were going to arrive at a day and an announcement like we have here today. I really felt that in that call, the point was made and understood and appreciated by your government in terms of the capacity and the history and the importance of this plant here in Thunder Bay, and the fact that this plant can be the answer to the needs of mass transit in Ontario and the GTHA. So I want a big thank you to you, because I really did leave that call with a great feeling of confidence. And so thank you to you and your ministry for the work they've done to help us get here. Obviously, to our two local members, to Minister Haidu. Patty, thank you for your work. I have no doubt that your influence and discussions at the cabinet table were instrumental and foundational in terms of us achieving and arriving at today's announcement. To MP Pawlowski as well, Marcus, thank you very much. I know that, and I remember Minister McKenna, you bringing up Marcus's name in our call in terms of how belligerent almost I think he's been consistent in terms of his advocacy on behalf of the city of Thunder Bay, and we all appreciate that work. Our calls, I think, have been, in the dozens since Marcus first got elected in 2019, and I know he's worked very hard on the file. So a big shout out to both our members, to Minister Haidu and MP Pawlowski, for the work that they've done in helping us to arrive here today. I do also want to say thanks to the province of Ontario, to Minister Mulroney, the Minister of Transportation. Minister, I want to say thank you for your call last night, which confirmed your government's commitment to this particular project. And more importantly, I do want to say thank you for your accommodation to me on this file over the last significant period of time, whether pre-pandemic when we were able to meet in person or post-pandemic when our discussions have been virtually or on the phone. I just want to say thank you to you as well and to your government for your commitment to this. To Mayor Tory, thank you, John, for listening to me as well and for really appreciating the importance of seeing this investment land in Ontario and therefore landing in Thunder Bay, and I think having a great understanding of the value of this and understanding that the investment landing in Ontario supports a very significant and broad supply chain in Southern Ontario. So it benefits the GTHA, not only in terms of providing mass transit transportation for your residents, but also the businesses, hundreds of businesses in the supply chain in Southern Ontario. Someone as well mentioned Jay Robinson and the TTC. Thank you to them. I'd like to bring another name into this as well, who I've reached out to a number of times, and that's Shelley Carroll. I want to say thank you to Shelley. I don't know if she's on the call today as well, for her support and advocacy. And Minister McKenna, thank you as well for mentioning Jamie Maloney. I had a couple of conversations as well with the chair of your Toronto caucus over the years, and appreciating his Thunder Bay connections. I'm sure he was a big supporter and fighter for us in your caucus as well. So Jamie, if you're on the call, thank you. I appreciated your time. Again, I'll add my voice of support as well to our local reps, to Gary Bragnello and to Dominic Pascolino. The relationship for me, with the group there goes back to 2003 when we first formed government provincially, and we've seen the strength and vitality of that plant and what it can mean for Toronto. So thank you to Gary and to Dominic, and I know Jerry is going to speak in a little while, but Jerry, we've had a couple of calls on this as well. So as the national Unifor rep, I want to say thank you to Jerry Diaz, to Dominic, and to Gary for all their work. Louise Fenton, thank you for your support and listening here as well. And the last one I'll say, and I'll try and keep it short today, is to thank also Charlotte Robinson and our Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce. They've obviously put their shoulder to the wheel on advocating on this file as well for us here in Thunder Bay. They've done a lot of great work. So I'll stop there and simply remind everybody that we're excited by this. We hope this is not the last announcement. We really do believe here in Thunder Bay that we are the answer to the mass transit problems and challenges in Ontario. And we are thankful very much for the support that we have received. And we look forward to providing solutions for you, for Alston in the years ahead. So thank you to everybody. And we look forward to this partnership with Alston here in Thunder Bay. Thank you, Minister. I really appreciate being part of the press conference today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mora. Now we're going to go to another very good friend of mine. We've had many conversations, including about streetcars, when streetcars maybe weren't as, maybe seen as part of the bigger GTA deal, but I'm really happy they are. This is a really great story. Actually, it makes me really happy that it's not just a story about Northern Ontario. It's about Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario, and really about, what we want to be building and our workers. So thank you because you really did work hard on this and you were instrumental. So over to my good friend, Mayor Tory. I think you're on mute. Sorry, it had to happen to someone. Now you're gone. There, you're back.
There we go. Minister, yes, it did happen to someone. Sorry, it's me. It's hard to believe we could have 2 days in a row where we had great transit news for the Greater Toronto Area and for the City of Toronto in particular. But it is a pleasure after yesterday's $10 billion injection into our 4 big transit projects that the province is put into a plan. And of course, the strategy that we've had, which is now coming to fruition to buy new vehicles for the TTC. So I want to say thank you to Ministers McKenna and Mulroney, because this has been a team effort that has put this all together. And I want to say thank you to MP Pulowski, but also to Mayor Bill Mora, because there is 2 parts to this deal, at least 2 communities among many. And there's been mention made of supply chains in Quebec and other places that will benefit. And, that's the essence of what being a Canadian is all about, being an Ontarian, is that we can all, work together to get mutual benefit out of this. And that's always when you have particular pride and happiness announcing a deal. And at our end here, I want to say a special thank you to our TTC Chair, Jay Robinson, who has just been a great fighter for transit generally. And she has been fighting on this too, because we knew we needed new streetcars, and we went ahead, as I'll mention, and bought some of them ourselves with the money that we put on the table. But we had to, then continue to work with the other governments to have them join this partnership, which they have done. And I'm so grateful for that, because this is good news for a lot of people in Toronto, but it's also good news for all the people who will make these streetcars in Thunder Bay. And it bears mentioning, this is not about some act of kindness to other parts of the province, or this is not about, even as much as you can make lives better for the workers in Thunder Bay. This is about a quality Canadian-made emission-free product that we're buying that moves people really well in our city. And since these streetcars have been on the tracks, there were a few little hiccups at the beginning. They work well. People like them. We're proud of them. And when people do come that help to make these and see them on the streets of Toronto, as I can see at my office as we speak, they can be proud of this. And I hope that it will lead to sales elsewhere. And if I can make a call to the Mayor of Edmonton to tell him he should be taking a hard look at stuff made by the people in Thunder Bay, I'll do just that. This comes in part from an initiation that I undertook of a city building fund that we put in place, so that the City of Toronto wasn't just asking for support for these kinds of things, but so that we could put a significant financial contribution on the table to buy these vehicles ourselves. And it was helped by the fact that the provincial program, they're going to pay what amounts to the capital costs of a lot of these big projects, but that we were then put in a position where we could fund ongoing maintenance, state of good repair, and new vehicles. I've said many times that investing in state of good repair or even new vehicles isn't necessarily all that sexy compared to announcing new transit lines. But the bottom line is, if we want a transit system that works properly, that moves people reliably, then we have to have state of good repair and we have to have new vehicles. And today helps us to do that. Beyond the contribution that we made or the municipal taxpayers made, there's contributions now coming from the other governments. And we laid out a plan last fall to try and make that happen with people's hard-earned tax dollars, and that plan has come to fruition today. And I just want to say again, thank you to the 2 governments. I've been privileged to work with both the federal and provincial governments during my time as mayor, and I found them to be reliable partners when it comes to transit in Toronto. All governments know the importance of Toronto as Canada's economic engine. And, people in Thunder Bay or Edmonton that we've mentioned, or lots of other places, Ottawa, can be frustrated at the fact that the economy so much has its roots here and its strength here, and not all of its strength, but it's a foundation for the rest of the country to produce prosperity for all of us. And when you can help with the transit system here, I like to think of it as helping all of Canada to be strong and to recover more strongly and to be more environmentally conscious and to reduce our emissions. It's helping with the national goals in that regard too. And so I'm very pleased that the Government of Canada's investment of $360 million to help the TTC purchase in total 60 new streetcars and to help us make the necessary upgrades to the facility in which they will have to be maintained and stored, because that's important too. In total, this is a $568 million investment by all governments, $208 million coming from the people of the City of Toronto through their tax dollars. It adds 47 new made in Canada emission-free streetcars to the 13 that we had gone ahead and purchased just on the basis that we knew we needed streetcars. We put forward as much money as we could as a city, and we knew that we could be confident the other governments would come to the table, which they're doing today. This 3-way partnership will ensure that 60 of these streetcars, new ones, will be on the streets of Toronto carrying people in 2023, starting in 2023. And that's not very far away. I mean, you keep thinking when you hear these dates out into the future that it's a long way away, but they've got to get manufactured, they've got to get delivered. And I'm glad that we're able to do this today. To illustrate the importance of moving people emission-free in the City of Toronto by streetcar, They provide, in non-pandemic times, trips for 230,000 trips on every single day of the week. That's how important streetcars are to moving people in the city of Toronto. Every streetcar of these wonderful new ones from the Thunder Bay plant can carry 150 people. That's the equivalent of 3 buses. So that it's not only efficient for us to use the streetcars on this rail infrastructure in which we've invested, but it also is very helpful in terms of the environmental goals we have, of course, because you have these emission-free vehicles carrying 150 people and actually, standing in for what otherwise would be 3 different buses. So we need more streetcars for all those reasons, and today makes that happen. It keeps our transit system strong, and it makes it better positioned to carry the people it has to carry in a recovery that we're going to experience before too long. I'm very bullish on that. We're going to get through this COVID-19 pandemic thanks to the efforts of all of the governments and all the help they've given to cities. Both governments, in our case, Ontario and federally, have been very, very helpful in that regard. You've had great leadership from people like Patty Hadju. So it's about jobs. It's about a greener Toronto. It's the right investment to make right now. Cela permettrait de préserver les emplois, de protéger l'environnement et de déplacer des milliers de personnes pendant de nombreuses années, à mesure que la plus grande ville du Canada continue de réussir. I want to thank Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Ford. I've had conversations with them about this too, as well as many conversations with all the people on this screen. And they, we know how it works. If they don't stand behind these things and show leadership in making sure their governments can come to the table, then it often doesn't happen. And I want to add to those that have thanked Jamie Mulroney. Jamie Mulroney is a Thunder Bay boy, so of course he was very much interested in all this for a number of reasons, but he's also somebody that leads a group of MPs who have stood up for Toronto. When I've gone to them and talked about the need for things like streetcars, they go and fight the good fight in Ottawa with all the different competition for resources. And I want to thank Jamie and thank his team for what they've done for us. And thank Councillor Robinson. And one more person I want to thank, which is Jerry Diaz. He has been an ally, he's been an advocate, he's been a fighter on this. And I can tell you there were times when he was the right person to send into battle to make sure that we got this job done. And he represents workers who can be very proud of the product that they produce in Thunder Bay. I love Thunder Bay and I love Northern Ontario. I've been to Thunder Bay, like literally, we're talking dozens of times. And I would encourage people in the summer when they may not be able to go too far on the travel front, visit Thunder Bay. It's beautiful and they do good work there. And you'll meet some of these workers who produce these great streetcars for us. And Jerry has been a good partner in that. And he's been a good partner for both the interests of Toronto and Thunder Bay. And that's what has helped to produce streetcars for us and jobs for Thunder Bay. And that's what happens when you work together. If there's one more theme that we should talk about one more time today, when we work together, the head of a big union with the mayor of Thunder Bay, with the mayor of Toronto, with the Minister of Transportation for Ontario, the Minister of Infrastructure for Canada, Catherine McKenna, who's also a great fighter on this and who gets right into the details up to her elbows and really fights for these kinds of things, as does Minister Mulroney. When we all do that together, look at the great things that can result from that yesterday and today, and with more to come, I'm sure, on other fronts. We are here delivering for people. They want to see us working together. They all pay the taxes out of their own pockets to all of us. They all elect all of us. It's all the same people. And they just want to see some results. And yesterday they saw results for transit in the GTHA. And today they're seeing results for jobs in Thunder Bay and for transit in the city of Toronto. And it does show you what's possible. Working together with other governments has been a hallmark of my administration and of me personally, because I just think it's the best way in which you can get things done. And today proves that yet again. It's going to mean better transit for our residents and everyone who visits the city, and jobs in Thunder Bay, and a better environment and a stronger economy. And those are things that we all share in common. So thank you again to the ministers, especially Ministers McKenna and Mulroney, and to their two premiers, Prime Minister, and to the great workers in Thunder Bay who are going to do a great job producing great streetcars for us that are going to be on the streets of Toronto before you know it. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And we have a councillor here, but who is also chair of the TTC. So to follow on you, Mayor Tory, to explain a bit more about why this is so important to the residents of Toronto and to the maintenance of the fleet, but also to electrifying everything, which I know you guys want to do.
Thank you very much.
Jay Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister McKenna. On behalf of the TTC, I would like to begin by thanking all of our government partners for their steadfast commitment to improving and expanding Toronto's transit network. In particular, I would like to thank Minister Catherine McKenna, Minister Carolyn Mulroney, and of course, Mayor John Tory for your incredible efforts to bring this to fruition. Today's landmark funding announcement will allow the TTC to significantly expand our streetcar fleet and move forward with our necessary upgrades to the Hillcrest facility, a priority project that's been identified in our 15-year capital investment plan. Over the TTC's 100-year history, the streetcar has been an integral mode of the Toronto's transit system. From the very first Peter Witt streetcar in use when the TTC was established in 1921 to the Bombardier Flexity streetcar used today, millions of customers have used the streetcars to travel and commute around the city of Toronto. Streetcars have become the symbol of Toronto and an icon recognized around the world. Today is an important milestone for the TTC's streetcar network. The TTC's 15-year capital investment plan and fleet procurement strategy outlined the need for an investment in 60 additional streetcars to address both service demand and enable growth. Prior to the pandemic, the TTC's streetcar network carried, and the mayor has already said this, but we can't stress this enough, 230,000 passengers each day, each and every day in our city. The routes are among the busiest surface transit routes in Toronto. At the same time, we've also identified the need for related upgrades to the Hillcrest facility to accommodate the additional streetcars. People forget about that piece. And this funding will help really redevelop that whole facility so we have a place to put the new streetcars. We know that we need these streetcars to keep up with the forecasted post-pandemic demand in our growing city. That's why the TTC approved moving forward with the initial purchase of 13 streetcars last fall. That's the most, as the mayor said, that's the most we could afford as a city and as a transit commission without this additional funding support. Now this great news of 47 additional streetcars that you're announcing today, in addition to the 13 that we'd already purchased, will allow better service for our customers across the network, and it will provide more frequent and more reliable service throughout the system. Investing in our streetcar fleet serves a dual purpose. It will enable the TTC to meet immediate fleet requirements while also allowing us to reallocate the approximately 50 buses that currently supplement service on our streetcar routes. So these are 50 buses that we will now almost will be like new buses and new capacity for the TTC because we can move them off the streetcar routes onto priority routes throughout the city, especially where we have essential workers. So this is clearly a win-win, and we are so pleased and grateful. It's also a win for the environment because these are new zero-emission streetcars, and that's really plays into our green transit capacity for our city and Transform TO, which is really our emissions target strategy that we're trying to achieve. This is going to be a big step forward. So today's announcement is important for the TTC as we begin turning our attention to welcoming back all of our customers post-COVID. And when it's fully behind us, we hope to see everyone back enjoying our service and taking the TTC the better way. The TTC's streetcar network has kept the city of Toronto moving day in and day out through the darkest days of this pandemic. And we will continue to support our recovery and rebuild in the weeks and months to come. Thank you very much. We're so grateful for this contribution from both levels of government. It means the world to us.
Thank you so much, Jay. Now, someone who needs absolutely no introduction, someone who fights tirelessly for workers in Thunder Bay and across Canada. A friend of mine and a friend of workers, that's for sure, Jerry Diaz, National President of Unifor.
Thank you very much, Minister McKenna, and thank all of you. Today is an incredible day. I must say, it's not very often that I'm pleased with so many politicians all at the same time. But today I've got 568 million reasons to be very pleased. It was only a few short months ago that the federal government, the provincial government, municipal governments, we all got together to deal with the problem of the Ford plant in Oakville, where the governments came together and we had real meaningful discussions and we found solutions about the greening of the auto industry. Instead of dealing with a potential plant closure in Oakville, we ended up dealing with an investment that's going to keep the plant around for many, many, many years to come. And here we are again today. Because not only we talked then about the greening of the auto industry, today we're talking about the greening of the transit file. And we're talking about a recognition of real climate change, and talking about Build Back Better, and talking about how we put workers into the workplaces to create stability for themselves and their families. So today's announcement about 60 zero-emission vehicles is a real game saver for the facilities in Thunder Bay. And that's what happens when you get everyone in a room. And all of Canada should pay attention to what's happening here right now. Because we've got the federal government, we've got the provincial government, we've got the corporations, we've got unions, we've got everybody in a room saying this is how we move forward. And this is an example of what can happen when we put our collective minds together to find real solutions for communities. We have been talking about this for years. The first discussion, frankly, was with Kathleen Wynne in May of 2018. And our members in Thunder Bay have been nervous ever since. In 2018, we had 1,100 members in the plant. Today, we have under 300. But we know that that's going to change, because today's announcement is about a vision. It's about saying this is how we can do things when we put our minds together. This is a message to the young people that worked for Bombardier and now are on layoff from Alston. The message to you is you don't have to leave your community anymore. You don't have to leave Thunder Bay looking for work in another city. The message says to those young people that left their community after they lost their jobs, you can come back to Thunder Bay. You can be reunited with your families because there's a real future. And so the message to our members is not just about the 60 streetcars that are announced today, but it's about the ongoing discussions and commitment from Metrolinx, talking to Alston about the refurbishing of all the bi-level coaches, because we know it's imperative in order to keep people moving. So today's announcement is a start, but today's announcement is really about securing jobs for the present, but more importantly, for the future. I'd like to end my remarks by thanking so many people, but I want to concentrate on three. I want to thank Mayor John Tory for his leadership and putting his money where his mouth was when he came forward with over $200 million to announce the initial 13 streetcars. Look, I understand how things get done because I've spoken to a lot of people about this getting done. And I'd like to thank Doug Ford's Chief of Staff, Jamie Wallace, who spent a lot of time working with me personally to find solutions. But finally, I'd like to thank Minister McKenna, who has led this file, who we've had some spirited conversations, I will argue. But the reality is she never gave up hope. And with her, with Jamie Wallace, and of course, with John Tory, we were able to find solutions, moving people from the city of Toronto to and from work each and every day. And once again, providing hope for our members in Thunder Bay. Today is a great day, and I thank all of you for your important role.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry, for all your advocacy for this project and for the workers. Now we're coming to the end, but a couple really important folks still to speak. We have Phil Verster. He's president and CEO of Metrolinx, who I think should be pretty happy about how things are going right now in transit across Ontario.
Thank you very much, Minister. Yes, absolutely fabulous news today for our region. As we now have firm commitments to our projects and significant certainty that our residents will be getting the transit they need to move quickly throughout the greater Golden Horseshoe for decades to come. As other speakers on this announcement have said, we are also very happy to be sending Go bi-level work back to Thunder Bay. The employees at Thunder Bay have decades of expertise, knowledge, and experience of our bi-level Go transit fleet. And this is a unique opportunity for us to utilize that expertise, while the big benefit is also to keep jobs right here in Ontario. I'm also obviously fantastically thrilled that our partners across government see the enormous importance and value of our 4 priority subway projects: the Ontario Line, the Yonge North Subway Extension, the Scarborough Subway Extension, as well as the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, but also for our Go expansion project, which would benefit from the bi-level refurbishments. And I think what's really important to say is that things are happening. We have done a huge amount of work in this past 18 months with our municipal partners to move our projects forward, both subway projects as well as Go expansion. In as little as 2 weeks' time, we'll be concluding our procurement process on 2 of the 4 subway programs where we are buying the tunnels. And as early as June, this is a few days away, the work to build the launch shafts for the tunnel boring machines are starting on site. And we're doing this for our communities. Everything we do is about our communities. And with that, I have to say, Minister, the future of transit in our region is looking brighter than ever before. Thank you very much, Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Phil. So it is not by chance that we have the President of Alston, Canada, Souheil Abihanna, last, because I think you heard the pitch. That there was an acquisition of Bombardier, which is a world leader in greener transportation solutions. You have levels of government that are making historic investments in public transportation that's electric, that is produced by Canadian workers who are great, and we have the solutions. Everyone has choices in life, but we believe in Canada. We believe in Canadian jobs. We believe in Canadian workers. We believe in the Canadian supply chain. And this is a huge opportunity. I think that you just have to look at the quantum the federal government is investing in transit. $26 billion through our infrastructure plan before the announcement of $15 billion of new investments this year, as well as $3 billion in spending, in permanent public transit spending every single year. That is on a quantum I would actually challenge any other country to demonstrate that level of commitment in public transportation. It is significantly higher, not that we compare, although I do like winning, it is significantly higher than the quantum that is being invested by the United States. And we've got the money and we're ready to go. We have the skilled workers. We have the opportunities, we have the technology solutions, you have mayors who are knocking at my door, they're coming back. You don't think they're done this announcement is done, they're gonna come to my door again because we need electric buses, we need streetcars, we need LRT cars, and we want them made here with Canadian workers and Canadian jobs. But with that, I do wanna thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Minister Champagne, who I know talked to the CEO of Alston International to get this done. This is good for the Thunder Bay plant. There are other opportunities, including in La Pocatière and across the country, but this isn't the end. We're going to continue doing this and build our great country using Canadian workers in Canadian communities across the country, because that's good for jobs, that's good for climate change, and that's good for the future of transportation. So with that, over to you.
Thank you, Minister. And we are really at Alston very proud to be part of this success story and these announcements. And let me start by saying, on behalf of all our employees in Thunder Bay and all across Canada, we really welcome this opportunity to build the additional streetcars for the TTC. We also look forward to contributing to the overhaul of the bi-level cars for Metrolinx that Phil just mentioned just before me. Over the years, our innovative, reliable, made in Canada rail products have established themselves as a signature for Toronto's cityscape and contribute daily to the sustainable economic and social development of our Canadian cities. Today's announcement will allow us to maintain jobs and expertise for our skilled workforce in Thunder Bay and to strengthen our country's rail ecosystem. We thank our government partners for their work to prioritize transit projects in Ontario. Thank you, Minister McKenna. Thank you, Minister Mulroney. And also we thank our customers for their renewed trust and confidence. And here, big thanks to Phil Verster, to Rick Leary, and to Council Robinson for all their trust. Alston looks forward to finalizing the orders and the service agreement and the opportunity to continue to serve the people of Great Toronto Area. We are also very thankful for the support coming from the Thunder Bay community and Unifor, who have worked really hard with us to maintain the viability of our Thunder Bay facility and work. And if you allow a couple of words in French, nous remercions nos partenaires gouvernementaux pour leur travail visant à prioriser les projets de transport en commun en Ontario et nos clients pour leur confiance renouvelée. Alstom se réjouit à l'intention de finaliser les ententes et les possibilités de continuer à servir les résidents de la région du Grand Toronto. Nous sommes également reconnaissants de l'appui de la communauté de Thunder Bay et de Unifor, qui ont travaillé de concert avec nous pour maintenir la viabilité de notre site à Thunder Bay. Thank you very much.
Alors, un grand merci. I feel like we all want to cheer. It's like Team Ontario here. Yay. Well, I guess I feel like we should go home now, but of course, I think we have some journalists. Hopefully they've stayed because this has been, I think I haven't missed anyone, but obviously there's been a lot to say about a really great announcement. But now I'm going to hand it over to my press secretary, Chantal Aubertin.
Merci, Ministre McKenna. We'll now start the question period. Nous allons maintenant commencer la période de questions. As usual, you'll get one question, one follow-up, and please state the name of who you're directing the question to. Comme d'habitude, une question et un suivi, et indiquez à qui vous dirigez votre question. We will start with Randy Rath of CHCH.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thanks for taking my question. I'm wondering about this deal that you've worked out to build the LRT in Hamilton. People there, there's a lot, this has been met with a lot of skepticism. People have seen LRTs promised and drawn back, and it's been going on for, almost 2 decades. Why should people feel confidence that this build will actually happen?
Well, I didn't expect we'd be talking about Hamilton LRT because it's going to happen because we have a deal, because you have a commitment from the federal government and the province to go ahead and make significant investments in the full line. And that is a shovel-ready project. So it's going to, well, look, we need the city to be on slide, but I've talked to many people and we've heard from folks in Hamilton. I'm a proud Hamiltonian. I think this is a great opportunity. And I think Minister Mulroney would agree that we are very serious about this project.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks. So are you saying that the city council hasn't bought into this yet, that you're still waiting for that to happen? And if they don't buy in, is that the end of this deal?
City council was supportive. There was an election and LRT was part of that. And look, this is a $3.4 billion deal that is on the table that we've worked very hard. I don't think it's just Toronto that gets good transit. I think Hamilton deserves excellent public transit as well, including an LRT that's going to serve the folks of Hamilton. This is about building an ambitious city. This is about good jobs right now at a time when we need good jobs and we need to restart our economy. This is about climate change. This is about getting cars off the road and people to their homes faster.
Merci, ministre McKenna. Maintenant, on va Mathieu Simard de Radio-Canada.
Oui, bonjour. Ma question est pour la ministre McKenna. Madame la ministre, il y a un historique de retard chronique avec l'usine de Thunder Bay dans la livraison des tramways à Toronto. La ville de Toronto avait même intenté des procédures judiciaires. Êtes-vous inquiète que l'histoire va se répéter? Et également, vous avez parlé là, de retombées économiques pour le Québec. Le premier ministre Justin Trudeau avait parlé hier aussi de retombées pour la pocatière. Est-ce que vous pouvez développer un peu sur ces possibles retombées là-bas?
Alors, comme vous voyez, il y a l'équipe Ontario ici. Je pense que tout le monde est ici qui disent on va aller en avance. On a la compagnie, on a l'Union, on a Toronto, on a le gouvernement fédéral, provincial. Alors, on y va en avance. C'est sûr, il y a des opportunités. Dans les discussions avec Alston, on a parlé de la pocatière. Oui, il y a des opportunités, c'est sûr. C'est pas seulement ici, mais c'est autour du pays. Et ça va continuer parce que nous faisons des investissements historiques dans le transport en commun. Et c'est une grande opportunité pour les travailleurs au Canada ainsi ici à Thunder Bay.
And my follow-up is for Minister Hajdu. Tennis Canada is hoping you will lift the quarantine requirements for international tennis players coming to Canada for the National Bank Open. Are you looking into this? And do you think it is safe to organize such tournaments in Canada this summer?
Well, thank you for the, I was blessedly free of COVID there for about an hour, but thank you for the COVID question. I will just say this, when we make exemptions to quarantine for national sporting events or other types of events like that, we do it in partnership with the province and the local public health officers. And so I can't proclaim any decision on this particular request, but it would be done in full partnership with provincial and local public health authorities so that everybody is comfortable with the plan.
Thank you, Minister Hajdu. Now, David Aiken, Global.
Unmute. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. And that was a very comprehensive press conference on the Bombardier announcement. Thank you very much. And so I do have something on another topic. A question for Minister
Alston,
Rickford.
David, come on, you're from Thunder Bay.
Yeah, well, that's true enough. I still call it the Bombardier plant. Pardon me, the Alston plant, and all due reference to our Alston executive on the plant. And a question for Minister Rickford. And one for Mayor Tory. I really only have one question. It's about Line 5. I wonder, Minister Rickford, if this issue about Line 5's potential shutdown is something that you and your cabinet colleagues have been seized with, have discussed, if you could talk about that. And Mayor Tory, I'm curious about your reaction. As I'm sure you know, every liter of fuel that goes into a plane at Pearson is made out of crude that comes from Line 5, 100% of that. So I'm wondering what you think of Governor Whitmer's decision to turn that particular tap off. Minister Rickford, Mayor Tory.
Yeah, thanks for the question, David. Obviously, we're disappointed, but we've been actively involved in this for a couple of years now, working closely with Michigan and states in the surrounding area, impressing upon them the importance of this critical piece of energy infrastructure, as well as its importance and its vitality to the provinces of Ontario and Quebec. I want to give a special shout out to my colleague, Seamus O'Regan, my counterpart as the Minister of Natural Resources. We filed an amicus brief in the proceedings here just this week, and we've been actively involved at all levels, including the government of the United States, to impress upon them that an important and critical distinction should be made between new pipelines and the safe pipelines that go, over 85 of them, between our two countries. We rely on each other. The first quadrennial energy review, the first quadrennial review ever done by the United States outside of its country was actually done in Canada on energy, because they recognize the interdependence that we have on this critical infrastructure. So we hope that the proceedings will fall our way. This is, no question about it, important not just to Ontario and Quebec, but Michigan and its surrounding states. As Enbridge endeavors to modernize that energy infrastructure, that this pipeline and its resources will continue to flow uninterrupted.
David, I will only say that we support the efforts being undertaken by the Government of Canada in particular and by the Government of Ontario and others to try and work something out here. We all share together in the task of making a transition that's going to happen in various different ways over time. We share that across borders and around the world. But at the same time, we all, as well, we have a great partnership between ourselves and the United States, and there's a huge interdependence between us. And we have to take account of the realities of 2021 and what's in front of us today as we go about making various transitions. And so I'm a great optimist about these things eventually getting worked out in some way that respects the concerns of everybody, but also reflects the reality that we face in terms of the economies of both Canada and the United States. And we will be supportive of the efforts being undertaken by particularly the Government of Canada, but also the Government of Ontario to produce the best result for everybody.
Thank you very much. Happy to pass the shoe.
Thank you, David. Maintenant, on va tourner encore à Miguel Lachance de Radio-Canada.
Bonjour. Alors, ma question est pour M. Abihanna.
Oui, allez-y.
Je pense qu'on vous a perdu. Miguel?
Oui, allô?
Oui, ça va, ça va.
Enfin bon, donc on sait que la livraison va commencer en 2023. À quel moment donc les travailleurs là, vont pouvoir revenir à l'usine et de quel genre d'équipe ça va avoir l'air en termes de nombre et de composition là, des gens qui vont pouvoir revenir au travail?
En fait, on est en train de travailler un petit peu les derniers détails par rapport aux déclinaisons des plannings avec les clients. Mais en gros, pour vous dire, les travaux vont reprendre durant l'année vers la fin de l'été, début 22. Évidemment, il y a des travaux d'ingénierie, de supply chain et de procurement qui se font en amont. Au total, avec les deux activités combinées, on va viser à 350-400 employés en permanence sur les 2 prochaines années, 2 à 3 prochaines années. Encore une fois, les détails sont à travailler. On est dans une annonce aujourd'hui qui est excellente pour le site. Et puis, les détails sont à finaliser dans les prochaines semaines et on serait ravis de revenir vers vous avec des détails.
OK. Et M. Pasqualino parlait d'un souhait d'environ une centaine de véhicules par année, que ce serait le nombre idéal là, pour assurer le plein potentiel de l'usine. Donc, êtes-vous confiant là, d'arriver à d'autres contrats pour justement augmenter cette production-là à un niveau comme celui-là?
Et écoutez, on est dans une industrie qui est tellement cyclique et ce challenge-là, il est continu pour nous. Donc maximiser le nombre de travailleurs, c'est toujours un challenge pour nous. Est-ce que on va arriver à 100 voitures ou moins ou plus? Encore une fois, je vous dis, les détails sont à travailler. Et puis, dans les semaines à venir, on va rentrer vraiment... Évidemment, on vit dans une situation COVID. Les fournisseurs subissent aussi les conséquences de cette pandémie-là. Alors, il faut qu'on regarde l'ensemble de la situation, le délai, et puis essayer de maximiser le nombre d'emplois durant la période de 2-3 ans qu'on regarde devant nous.
Thank you. Now we're going to Cormac McSweeney.
Hello. I know this is an important announcement for the Thunder Bay and Toronto communities, but I have a question for Health Minister Patty Hajdu on a different topic. Ontario has paused the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and like Alberta and Saskatchewan have said, they're pausing the first doses because of supply concerns, but Ontario is citing the risk of blood clots increasing to 1 in 60,000. And just moments ago, the Ontario Health Minister said that the health and safety of Ontarians has to come first. So the impression many are taking from this is that possibly the shot is not safe. So can I get your reaction to Ontario's decision and reasoning behind that decision? And is it your belief that the shot is still safe for people to use, or is the risk of clotting increasing to 1 in 60,000 a concern?
Well, thank you, Cormac, for the question. First of all, let me be clear that all the vaccines that have been approved for Canada by Health Canada remain safe for use in Canada. Of course, different epidemiological situations across the country mean that various public health leaders are using science tables to make decisions about what vaccine is best for their population at what time. And this is the normal process in provinces and territories to make those decisions based on the science and the disease activity in their own regions and territories. But I will just remain clear that vaccination is clearly saving lives and certainly a big part in stopping the spread. So Canadians should take the first vaccine that's offered to them. And if they have questions about vaccination in their own particular circumstance, they should speak to their healthcare provider or pharmacist as it might be appropriate, and who can guide them in those health decisions.
And as a follow-up, is the federal government or Health Canada reviewing the AstraZeneca regulatory approval given the risk data that Ontario is citing? And if provinces start to pause or halt use of the AstraZeneca vaccine, what does it mean for future deliveries and Canada's contracts in which we're supposed to be receiving millions of these shots if provinces are deciding not to hand them out?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. Health Canada reviews safety data and safety signals on an ongoing basis and works with all our provincial territorial partners to do so. There's regular reporting on side effects of any medication or vaccine approved for use, especially vaccines in this context of emergency use approval. So that is ongoing, and Health Canada will continue to provide advice as they have in the past to prescribers about particular situations that prescribers need to be aware of when they're using particular medications, including vaccines. In terms of the future of AstraZeneca and the doses on order, of course, we're constantly monitoring not just the demand of vaccines from the provinces and territories, but certainly the usage. And obviously, provinces have indicated that an uncertain supply in the case of AstraZeneca is making it difficult for them to plan for second doses. We have fantastic supply from Pfizer and Moderna, as you know, and we are receiving right now from Pfizer alone 2 million doses week over week. This is really good news for Canadians, good news for provinces and territories who are vaccinating extremely quickly using all kinds of innovative ways to reach people. And again, I think the most important message for Canadians is that the first vaccine that you're offered by your healthcare provider is the safest option for you.
Thank you, Minister. Now, Ben Spurf, the Toronto Star.
Hi there. I do have a question about streetcars. I think this is for Ministers Mulroney and McKenna, as the mayor touched on this earlier. But there have been some problems with the TTC's existing streetcars under the old management of Bombardier, with dozens of them having to be recalled for major defects and years worth of late deliveries. The LRT system in Ottawa that uses Alston vehicles has also experienced some issues. What gives you confidence that previous issues we've seen with these vehicles won't be repeated in this new order?
Maybe I'll hand that over. I mean, from our perspective, this is something, I mean, it's probably Mayor Tory who is best placed to talk about this. I think he did mention this. We support local decision-making when it comes to procurements. The decision was made locally that these were good vehicles. I think lots of people use them. I've used them in Toronto, and they're great. And we certainly expect high quality products. That's extremely important to us. But I'll hand it over to Minister Mulroney, and maybe Mayor Tory wants to say something.
Thank you, Minister McKenna. Ben, I've had a number of constructive conversations with the new leadership at Alston. And so I have great confidence in their ability to deliver. In terms of the bi-levels, they were manufactured at the Thunder Bay plant. So it makes sense for us to have the work done on the refurbishment done there. So I have a high level of confidence in their ability to deliver on this work. And as I said, I've had a number of conversations with management and the new leadership. So we've got a lot of confidence.
And may I just add, Ben, sorry, I'd like to say a word on this because we're the customer and we're the ones actually purchasing with the help of these other governments. I will acknowledge that there have been some issues in the past with respect to delivery, and there were some very early issues with respect to the streetcars themselves. But like most issues of its kind, when it comes to sometimes a new product coming off the line and its early use, those problems, I think, are on their way to resolution, if not resolved, in that at the tail end of the original contract, the streetcars were coming on the schedule prescribed by us and the manufacturer taken together. And the streetcars have performed well on the streets of Toronto. And so this was, as you know, an option that was contained in an existing contract. By buying the 60, it's helped us to lower the price per unit immeasurably and put 60 new streetcars emission-free and that are working well on the streets of Toronto. So there have been past issues, and I'll give full credit to Bombardier and now Alston that they have addressed those issues and allows us to have confidence. The TTC would not have made the original purchase of 13 with the city taxpayers' money, nor encourage the other governments to participate in buying the other 47 if we hadn't had confidence in this product. And Jay may want to add to that further. I don't know.
Yes, I would like to. Thank you very much, Mayor Tory. Based on industry benchmark comparisons, the LD, the liquidated damages terms that we've set out for the supply of the additional streetcars are actually the strictest in North America. So we have, as the mayor has indicated, we've learned from the past, and we have a very strong contract in place to protect against that. So we're very confident that we're moving in the right direction and that we'll have great outcomes with this relationship.
Ben, if I can add to that, it is the Bombardier Flexity platform, and it's what's been delivered on Waterloo, where quite a lot of the further performance issues have been resolved. We are now running these on Eglinton Crosstown, and you'll see more of them operational. And we've worked very closely with the Alston team to continue to improve the reliability and performance of these fleets. So this is what's so good about the whole idea of sticking to a platform, the Flexity platform, that has proven itself out there, and to not invent new.
As a follow-up, this is for Minister Mulroney. Anyone familiar with the Premier's time at Toronto City Hall might be surprised to see his government invest in millions of dollars in new streetcars, which he spent years criticizing as clogging up the streets in Toronto when he was a councillor here. Are you privy to his thinking on this at all, and has he had a change of heart about streetcars?
He's very excited about this deal. He's the one who encouraged me to go ahead and negotiate this deal. I'm thrilled that we were able to reach an agreement with all three levels of government on this. So yes, Premier Ford is a big supporter.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Ben. Now we're going to Gary Ryan, Thunder Bay.
Hi there. I have a question for Mr. Abihanna. I understand the streetcars will be delivered starting in 2023. When will work begin, and when do you expect workers will be recalled in Thunder Bay to start the work?
Is he here? Maybe.
It looks like he's not here. Gary, if you'd like to direct a question to somebody else.
No, I only had questions for him, unfortunately. So Mr. Abihanna has left?
Yeah, but I will definitely follow up with you after the announcement.
All right, thank you.
So now we'll turn to Janice McGregor from CBC.
Thank you. This is a question for Minister Hajdu. My apologies. It's a COVID question as well. Last December, when the vaccine rollout began, the government said that it would assume the liability for any injuries that resulted from the vaccines used in Canada, and it announced that it would have a pan-Canadian injury support program for these vaccines. It's now May, and unfortunately, we have had some serious blood clot cases and a couple of deaths. Why is this compensation program not in place yet? What's taking so long? And does this mean that if any of the families of the people affected are looking for compensation, they'll have no choice but to pursue that through civil litigation?
Well, thank you very much. And you're absolutely right. We have promised a vaccine injury compensation program, and we are in the process of working with the supplier that will provide that. all claims will be retroactive to the beginning, or will be eligible for retroactivity to the beginning of the immunization campaign. So certainly my heart is with families that have been affected by vaccination in any way, but I can reassure those families as well that those claims will be considered as inclusive.
And by way of a follow-up, how much money, funding, I'm not sure what the right word is, has been set aside to cover the costs of this program and the eventual claims that are anticipated? And I'm just wondering to what extent this might factor in to the government's risk tolerance as it considers different vaccines in its portfolio, and in light of the evolving science and unfortunately the evolving cases.
Well, thanks, Janice. I don't have that number at my fingertips. I'm sorry, but I'll get someone from my team to get you the information on the anticipated money set aside for the program. Certainly it's independent, though, the program, of the particular vaccines that we've chosen, and it's not a consideration. We actually were very fortunate to have an esteemed group of experts from the pharmaceutical industry, from the world of science, immunologists, virologists, as part of our vaccine task force, who guided Canada to select vaccines that were being developed in the early stages of the pandemic based on their expertise. Through their guidance, they recommended 7 vaccines, and that has comprised Canada's portfolio. It's a diverse portfolio meant to address exactly the kinds of challenges that we've seen. Certainly understanding that there might be supply challenges, that there would be different modes of use and transportation of certain vaccines, storage of certain vaccines. And so the Vaccine Task Force felt it was important for Canada to have that diverse portfolio, given that we couldn't anticipate necessarily how the pandemic would play out, what our needs might be, but we knew that they would be diverse. And so we're grateful to the task force for that guidance, and that's how we've selected the vaccines that we have contracts for.
Thank you very much, Minister. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions today. Cela fait fin notre conférence de presse.
The world's longest press conference, but good news. So thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, ministers and everybody. Tory, Bill, everybody, the works. Thanks a lot, Jamie, Phil. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.